In this video, we are going to hook up the cross-platform input to function as our player and hook it into our existing code base. So to do this, to get started, if we select our joystick, you'll see here that it uses the movement axis, vertical and horizontal. This is identical to what we currently have set up. To make use of it, we can open up our script and let's go into our player script here and find our movement code. So here we have a movement function. And if we go into that, you'll see here that we move based on horizontal axis. Now this is used for the Unity Input Manager, and this is for PC. Well, now we have a cross-platform input manager that works on both PC and mobile. So to replace this, what we're going to use is the cross-platform input manager. And before we can make use of that, it's a namespace provided by Unity that we need to include. So in order to have access to that library, we need to say using Unity standard assets cross-platform input. By using that namespace, it allows us to access a library for that cross-platform input, and we can then go into our code and we can type cross-platform input. So cross-platform input manager you'll see here that we can then get access, and we want to get the horizontal axis. This line of code here works on both PC and mobile. I can then comment out this line. And because we're using the cross-platform, whatever operating system or build platform you're running your game on, it's going to detect that and use the appropriate access. Let's run Unity and test it out. Now, because we are on Android platform, we are going to use our joystick to move left and right. And you'll see here that as I drag it to the left and right, we move. And that is our cross-platform input controller detecting that we're building for Android and we're going to use this joystick. And there you go. So the next thing that we need to do now is set up our buttons. So we have our B button and our A button. Let's go ahead and make it so that our B button is our jump and our A button is our attack. So to do this, we have to look at our code and find out where are we jumping. So here we're checking if input.getKeyDown, keycode.space, and is grounded equals true, then what do? We jump. Well, this now needs to be converted to our cross-platform input. So how do we do that? If we look at our A button here and our B button, you'll see here that it has a button handler script. This is the axis it's looking for. So what we'll do for this is we're going to name this B button. We're going to say B_button. This is our B button. And what's going to happen is it's going to register every time we hit this button. It's going to call whatever function we want, or it's going to just register as if it was a normal button, similar to what we're doing now where we check for the space key. We're now checking for this B button handler. So to actually make use of this B button here, what we need to do is let's go ahead and copy that text. Let's go into our script, and we want to basically adjust this. We want to say if input.getKeyDown, keycode.space, and then we're going to say an OR statement. So here we're going to have OR cross-platform input manager, cross-platform input manager dot get button down. And what button are we looking for? Well, it's that B button. So anytime we press that button, it's going to register that, hey, you press that button, go ahead and do this code. So here we're checking for if you hit the space key or you hit that B button and is grounded equals to true. So one thing we can also do here is to isolate the logic. Let's go ahead and add a parenthesis behind the B button and in front of this input get space, because we want to check for either of these conditions and this condition. So space or the B button. Now same goes for A. What is the A button? The A button is our attack. So when do we attack? If we look in our code, we attack when we left click. So where do we do that? So let's find get mouse button down. And right here you'll see that if input.getMouseButtonDown 0 and is grounded equals to true, then what do? We play anim.attack. So using the cross-platform input manager, instead we want to use the A button. So let's go ahead and say So if cross-platform input manager dot get button down, and that button is going to be a button. So a underscore button. So if you hit the A button and is grounded as true, then player anim dot attack. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and hop into our attack method here. Make sure everything is okay. What we need to do now is we need to actually tell that A button to look for that string. So if we select the A button, you'll see here we need to change the name to A underscore button. Let's save this. Let's run the game and test it out. So you'll see here we can run, B is jump, and A is attack. The next step is to build and test it out on our mobile device. Go ahead and stop Unity, go to File, Build Settings, and we're going to build another APK. Let's overwrite our existing one. So name it demo.apk. Use the highest installed if it prompts you. And then go ahead and let it build. Once it builds, you're going to then move it to your Dropbox, and you're going to go onto your Galaxy S5 or whatever Android device you're using, and you're going to install it. Go ahead and pause the video while Unity is building your APK, and I'll see you when it finishes. Once you have the demo APK built, go ahead and drag that to your Dropbox by right-clicking, move to Dropbox. Replace the current file with the new file. Once it's transferred, you're going to open up your mobile device. You're going to go to your Dropbox and find that file, and you're going to reinstall it. That would take a few moments to install. And once it's finished, go ahead and test out your game, making sure that all the controls are correct, as well as the visual of the alignment of the buttons and everything like that are proper. All right, I'm opening up the game now. And everything looks really smooth. Currently, so right now, if I tap the buttons, nothing is actually happening. It looks like it's still using my old code base. So let me go ahead and make sure that I am using the correct file. So I'm going to close all apps, and I want to make sure that I install over it. So install the demo APK. And a good way to make sure you install the proper app is to actually uninstall your original demo APK and install the new one. So go ahead and give this just a second here to load up on my device. Okay, so I've reinstalled the app and opened it up, and it looks like I am actually not getting any user inputs or anything like that we've created here. So I'm going to go back into Unity real quickly, and let's figure out to make sure that this is working properly. So currently, inside here, we have, if we get the A button, then the player anim.attack gets called. And then for movement, we're using cross-platform input. And for jumping, we are using the B button. So I'm going to make sure that only the B button stuff is in here, just for now. So if cross-platform input manager.get button down B and is grounded equals true, I'm using the get axis horizontal for movement, and then here get button down the A button. Let me make sure that these guys are correct. So it's going to compile. I'm going to select the mobile stick control. On this, we have our A button. And on the B button, we have our B button. And then for the mobile joystick, we have set to 50 and horizontal. Let's save this. Now let's go and run it in the editor one more time. So right now, if I use this to move, and then here to jump, and A to slash. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to build it one more time. Let's get a build. Call it demo APK. Go ahead and let that build and put it back on the mobile device and let's test it out. All right, so after reinstalling that on my app, it actually works. It just wasn't reinstalling a fresh copy of it. So I now have it working, and there's a few minor issues that I notice. And some of those issues are related to the scale of things. So it looks like our joystick did get shrunken for a little bit, or it shrunk a little bit. So to change that, we're going to increase this to 512 by 512 and keep that where it is, because on a mobile device, it's actually going to look fine. And I'm going to save this. And then our A button and B buttons are kind of overlapping a bit. So what I want to do for these guys is space them out some more. So the B button is in a good spot. The A button needs to be changed. And actually, if we look at them, you can see they're touching and overlapping here. That's how they are on the mobile device. So let's go ahead and look at button A, and let's just drag that out a bit, just so they're not touching. And I'd say right about there is good. All right, let's save this. I'm going to create another build and go ahead and put it on the mobile device and see how it looks. Okay, I just reinstalled the app. I'm opening it up right now, and let's see if the visual changes have any effect. All right, and they definitely do. So right now, the joystick looks perfectly fine on mobile. So right now, all we have to do now is just adjust the buttons a bit more. They are still touching a bit. And so we want to give more space between buttons B and A. However, our joystick is the right size, and we may want to continue modifying the position of that, which we can do in test iterations wise. And you can test it out yourself and see what you're comfortable with. But for the most part, we have it functioning exactly how we want it, and we can slice using A, B is jump, and we can move around just fine. So that wraps up the cross-platform input. I'll see you guys in the next section.